Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back. So we were reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, overall, what did you think?
What did I think? I think it's a good book. I feel like I liked it, but it was definitely challenging. Because it really it makes you think a lot, and I think it gives a lot of really good advice that obviously over 25 years it says the number one personal finance book of all time. So I'm pretty sure that it's influenced some really great things, but it honestly it was frustrating for me because I felt like I'm starting from not even the playing field. I'm in the negative. And so that was frustrating for me, but I was determined to get through it. What about you?
So I read it before, and so when I cracked it open, and then I started reading it, and I realized, okay, I was immediately remembered why it resonated. But then as I got into it, it started talking so much about taxes and investments, and then I was just realizing oh my God, this is a foreign language to me. And I guess it made me feel the same way that you felt, is that I'm not even there yet. I'm so far behind in the game.
And I think that's probably why he wrote it, right? Because it's okay, you're not there. Exactly. That's why we should be reading it.
That's why we're poor dad.
Yeah. But I did find a lot of the rich dad concepts I've either heard of or I'm familiar with or I agree with. But it's I'm still dealing with a lot of my own debt and stuff like that. And so a lot of the investments and stuff feel so far away. That's how it felt for me. So, yeah.
Ooh, right away on page 20, which is chapter 1. I underlined the word creativity because that's something that he talked about a lot, was where poor dad didn't care about creativity, or didn't want you to be creative, wanted to make sure that you went to work, got a job, and got your degrees so that you could earn the money. And whereas rich dad was excited when the kids showed some type of creativity and was more excited to, cheer on the fact that you were creative, even if you didn't make money, even if you failed miserably, you were creative.
Yeah. It was so interesting because, and that's where I can say a lot of the rich dad concepts I agreed with, because he was celebrating them thinking outside the box.
Yes.
And I feel that's always sort of when's the first time you ever would have heard that concept, think outside the box? I feel it's something that I've heard.
Not growing up, I don't think.
I don't remember when I heard. I think I've always just been there's been a part of my brain that's always been looking for something different. There's got to be a different way. Is how my brain has always thought. But nothing in our world and in our systems and structures teach us that.
I think a lot of people probably feel that way too, where, your mind wants to take you somewhere else. I always got in trouble for daydreaming when I was a kid. And, she's always daydreaming. She's always daydreaming. That's all my mom ever heard. You can go through my report cards, because she still has them all. And then it'll say she daydreams too much.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you see how the structures were trying to keep you in the box?
in that little.
Yeah. Stop her from daydreaming. Make her focus on this boring work we're doing.
Exactly. So that's what immediately that's what I saw, and I was like, oh, I could totally see that happening. It also reminded me of Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx. I've listened to her podcast with Tony Robbins a couple of times because it's so good, and she would talk about her sitting down at the table, and her dad would ask her, what did you fail at today? He always wanted to know what she failed at today,
right?
And then he would applaud her failures because that meant that she stepped out of her comfort zone and did something daring and something courageous. And I was like, you know, people don't think like that. They want to know, oh, what did you succeed at today? What did you do well at today?
Right. Yeah.
And then he's like, tell me what you failed at, because I want to know that at least you were trying to do something different.
Wow.
So it's just like right away that, you know, pushing people into being creative and using their creativity. And you know what? Oh, sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you. Remember you and I were talking and you had phoned me, or I don't know if you phoned me or texted me, but you had an idea and you wanted to work on it. But all of the outside people, all of the other people were telling you, no, you need to focus on whatever systems you were doing. But then you were like, but I really have this creative idea and I'm just really being pulled into this creative idea. And then I said, you know, do it. Like, do the creative, like, you know, do the creative stuff, because that's your creative,
when those juices are flowing.
Yeah. When
I feel like that's been my entire life, you know, as an adult, is I want to do something different. Like, I want to stray off the path, right? And everyone has always told me, stick to the path. So yeah, I've been in that situation so many times. But I don't I'm on 24. I thought that I had highlighted something else, but what I had written at the top of the page, it says decisiveness. So this is something that I know that I've always been really good at, is being really quick to make decisions. So this is the part where Rich Dad is asking the boys, so the author and Mike, to say, like, you can work for me for free, or I can give you $2. I'll give you $5. Like, he's trying to entice them with money. And he's telling them, like, you need to make a decision. And I think I've always been really good at making quick decisions, and I trust my decisions. And that came over time. There were a lot of times that I didn't trust my decisions, but I did what I wanted to do. And, you know, whatever, it got me to where I am. But I thought that was a really good, like, lesson as I started reading the book.
Where did you learn that lesson? Is it something that you developed on your own, or did you learn it from someone or a book or something?
I think it was something that I learned on my own, because no one was going to help me. Like, it came from a place of, like, you know, almost desperation. Like, I have to make a decision. I don't have time. I just started feeling excited about it. Like, excited about making quick decisions.
Wow. Yeah. I see. I never learned that. I learned nervousness and second guessing. But I too, that's why I got excited when you said decisiveness, is I have a little star beside the word decisiveness, because it reminded me of you. Like, because we've said before, like, you're quick to make decisions. So I'm going to read what he said about it. Okay. So decisiveness is the wisdom that has stood the test of time. So the world is moving faster and faster. Stock market trades are made in milliseconds. Deals come and go on the internet in a matter of minutes. More and more people are competing for good deals. So the faster you can make a decision, the more likely you'll be able to seize opportunities before someone else does. So that decisiveness is where people often, where the dreams die.
Yeah, because they can't decide.
Because they can't decide, or they second guess themselves, or they talk themselves out of doing something.
Yeah.
Like, I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I want to do something and then I'll stop. And then I won't do it.
How I think about that, like, when I think about making that decision, it's like, what is my head thinking versus what is my heart thinking? And my heart is where I get excitement, where I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to do that program, or I'd love to, like, whatever, I'd love to create this idea. I feel the excitement in my body, and I can be very aware that my head is like, but you won't make any money, but this, but that, right? I always choose to do the part that's exciting, because life is short.
Yeah, and he says that, like, you have to learn how to make decisions like immediate decisions, because sometimes those things that come immediately, that's your true feeling of why you shouldn't get into something. So you got to listen to what your initial instinct is instead of giving yourself all these reasons why
and
not.
I agree with what you're saying about like the fear that comes up and the hesitation, because that's what we're taught. We're taught in school and like anywhere that there's a goal, we need to know what are all the steps. And if we don't see all the steps and we can't see the path, then we shouldn't do it. Like that's what we're taught. But, and I know we've talked about this before on the podcast, is like you don't have to see the whole staircase, right? You don't have to. And that's a risk that people either are willing to take or you're not.
Yeah. And you know what, like what you said, these things weren't taught in school. He talks about that a lot, is that, you know, the wisdom that rich dad is giving him are the things that aren't taught in school.
Yeah.
And the wisdom that poor dad is giving him are the things that are taught in school.
And I think the author talks about why that's strategic, but I, you know, sometimes a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Like I believe that there are very specific reasons why we're not taught those things. And I think that education, like it's designed to take you along a certain path, and it works. And like, not that there's anything wrong with education, but this is something I have highlighted here, is education doesn't guarantee a job. Knowledge by trial and error is more valuable. It's a life lesson. So again, personally, education is not my thing. I would never talk anybody out of education, nor would I argue that, but it doesn't guarantee a job. And that's another thing anyway, that's like, sometimes I just feel like I could go on a rant about those things, but it was interesting to see those concepts in here.
Yeah. And he was talking about that, you know, once people get specialized and they get, you know, stuck in, he calls it the rat race.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you start getting into these jobs and then you start needing more pay. You need the raises, you need more money, you need this, you need the extra hours, the overtime, like all of those things.
And your brain starts to rely on that. That's what the rat race is. Yeah. Because it's like, well, I need food. I need to pay my rent. I need a vehicle. I need to buy gas, right? So I have to go to work. And then that's what the cycle is. And then I go to work so that I can have those things. And then I need those things. So I like, yeah, it's back and forth. Here's another thing that I highlighted that I thought was really interesting. So when you're stuck in the rat race, some of what we have seen people do is the complaining about, I was supposed to get this raise, I didn't get this raise.
Right.
My boss is a jerk. He's so stingy, and that's one of the conversations that, you know, like
start hating our boss.
Right.
Start blaming.
Exactly. And that's what I underlined right here. It says, you best change your point of view. Stop blaming me and thinking I'm the problem. And so that's the thing, right? People saying, oh, well, it's the government, or, oh, well, it's this, oh, well, it's that. Because if you think that's the problem, then you have to change all of those things in order to have joy in your life. And if you realize that you're the problem and that you can change yourself, learn something and grow wiser. And so to me, that's where I was like, okay, well, those things I believe.
Yeah. Right. Because he said you can't change other people. Very, very seldom can you inflict change on other people. Yeah. But you do have control over yourself and what you can change.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we talked about this before. I'm curious, when in your life did you start looking outside of the systems for information? So, for example, what I just shared like a couple minutes ago about how, like, I've always wanted to know that there has to be a different way. Like, that's always been within me. And I think the first time that I was able to like see it tangibly was when I first watched The Secret and I started learning about all the authors in the book, learning about Think and Grow Rich and all of those things. That was like the beginning of my journey where it was almost like cracking open, a door and going, holy shit, there is another way.
Do you know like around what that time frame maybe, or what year or what age you were?
I think it was around 2013. So, and maybe that is kind of the same story, like you and I have talked about, you watching the podcast or watching Oprah or something, and it was 50 Cent that was on, maybe that was it. But even
That's so funny because you're like reading my mind right now, because I'm picturing being in my living room,
right,
in the same living room that I was watching
that
show. Because that's the time, that's the time frame for me. So that was around the same time.
So do you think before then, though, that there were parts of you that were open to something different?
I think so. There had to have been, because I've always wanted to dance to the beat of my own drum. Always.
Yeah.
But somebody or something was always telling me, no, you have to do this.
Right.
You have to do this. You have to go to school. You have to be this.
Right.
So I did all the things.
Yeah.
Like I went to school, but then I did all the things.
She went to school so hard she was a professor.
Yeah, I was a master. I got my master's. But I remember around the same time, like 2013, I was a university professor. I had my master's degree, and I felt so unfulfilled. And there was something else out there.
Yeah.
So then I started doing like side gigs, like a side, they call it a side hustle at the same time as my job, because I had to fulfill that creative piece. But nothing in my mind ever told me that the stuff that you like to do in your spare time, all the creative stuff, nothing ever told me that you could actually do that for a living.
Right.
It was just something that I wanted to do on the side.
Yeah.
Because it was fulfilling a piece of me that was unfulfilled. That creative stuff. And I was just working. Like I remember working as a university professor, climbing ladders in my job, and
excelling, right?
Yeah,
really excelling, getting
and
rewarded for it.
But what was happening was, and it's the same stuff that he talks about in the book, where financially it was really, really difficult. And the thing is, when you become specialized in something, it shouldn't be more difficult. It's supposed to help you financially, right? Like that's what you would think. But what ended up happening is, when I became a university professor, it bumped me up into this higher tax bracket, which I didn't know what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
But because I was in a higher tax bracket, I had to pay more taxes, and then I lost certain things, like certain benefits that I had before when I was like below the poverty line, which is I didn't get family allowance, which I relied on before, because I had at the time 4 kids, and then I didn't get GST anymore. And so it's just like I lost a lot of, and then like money. And then when, on income tax time, when people would get refunds back, well, I would have to pay the government $15,000. So it's like I didn't get family allowance, I didn't get GST, and then I didn't get a tax refund.
And now you owe money.
Yes, and then I owe money, and then I'm like, okay, but I'm, advancing in my career, and I'm specialized in these things, and I work so hard to, finally make the money, but I didn't make the money. Like I wasn't making the money. And I was really, really struggling financially. I remember being in my boss's office one time, and then I started crying because I told him that I needed a change. I wasn't going to be able to continue on in my job if I couldn't either move to a different area, because it just, nothing was working anymore. Everything was like really, really hard. And he talks about that too, is like, with all of the, like, I can't explain it all in one shot, but like with all of the trying to understand all the income taxes and the way that it works, and the more money that you make, the more money that you have to pay the government and all of that stuff.
So what do you think of this conversation that he was having with his dad, poor dad, and He says, as I sat there listening to my rich dad, my mind flashed back to the countless times my own dad, so poor dad, said, I'm not interested in money. What do you think of that?
That's a lie. That's what, and I've heard that like from so many people growing up is like, it's not all about money. I don't care about the money. It's not all about money.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's something that's a lie you're telling yourself.
Right.
It's all about the money. Like they're working so hard at
Right.
getting raises and being, really stellar employees working their asses off for somebody else. But it's, to get the raises and to get the promotions and to get the higher paying jobs.
Why do you think people say things like that?
It's they're just trying to make an excuse for their low paying jobs.
I agree. Yeah. I think it like, there's also that old quote of like the love of money, which is from the Bible. The love of money is the root of all evil. So I think that like
it's in here actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
it's
actually highlighted it on page 10.
Oh,
he said the love of money is the root of all evil, and then but the other said the lack of money is the root of all evil.
And it's so true, right? And because I remember at one point someone had said that to me too, like as I was growing my business, like someone said, why is money so important to you? And at the time I didn't know how to answer it.
And were they saying it to try to be rude to you? Or
yeah,
just like,
yeah. And at the time, like I didn't know how to answer it, but I was thinking like
they're trying to shame you.
Yeah, trying to shame me. And I realize now that's a problem that they have within themselves that they have to deal with. But I am sick of being uncomfortable with money. And I was struggling so hard to sell, like selling. He talks about selling and the skills of selling and that sort of thing. But I made a choice to be interested in learning how to sell my services. And I think that there's like so many different facets of money. But yeah, that was, I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because when he said like the lack of money is the root of all evil, and it's just like when people are lacking, it's just like that's why they get stuck in the rat race.
Mm-hmm.
Because they need more money to pay for the cars, to pay for the when you upgrade your house and you upgrade your vehicle. And as you go through life, you start upgrading your things, you start putting more things on credit. So then you build more debt, debt as you go along. So then, and then if you're not making enough money, then it starts to really affect you, like your mental health, like affect you mentally and stuff. Something else I highlighted is the words, I can't afford it. When you hear those words, I can't afford it, growing up, your brain stops working. You have to start asking yourself, how can I afford it? Because that's when your brain starts working.
Ooh, I like that. I'm glad that you highlighted that. And I have that highlighted somewhere too. I circled it. But I love the way he says that your brain stops working. And it's so true. Like when you shut down a thought like that, your brain is like, okay, on to the next.
Right.
Right. What's next? Right. But you're right. When you say, well, how can I afford it? It opens up your thinking to saying whatever.
Mm-hmm. Then you start, you can even make a web out of it. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember reading that a lot, like when I first read this book years ago, and I stopped trying to say that in front of my kids. Like, we don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. And my husband still says that once in a while because he hasn't read the book. But, and I tell him, like, not to say that because I don't want our kids to think that we never have money. We don't have enough money. I don't want them growing up hearing that because that's all I ever heard. Yeah. I can't afford it. We don't have enough money. We don't have money.
That was like in my home life. Too, is we don't have enough.
Yeah.
That was like ingrained in my bones. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it takes so long. Like we're still trying to, get out of that way of thinking.
Yeah.
Just like when we read the other book, Busting Loose from the Money Game,
Yeah.
It's like trying to get rid of those old thought patterns.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I started actively doing that in front of my kids is not acting poor or not, you know, allowing them to believe like we're so poor, because I remember that's how I felt, and it wasn't a good feeling.
And the way that we behave and demonstrate is, without saying any words to them, like we don't know what they're picking up.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to create that. I didn't want them to have that longing and jealousy like that I had. I was watching other kids, have things or go places or have a freaking ice cream cone, like just those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to grow up thinking that they can have those things.
Yeah.
Another thing I highlighted was people think that I will just make more money. I'll just make more money and then it's going to solve all my problems.
Yeah.
Okay, this one really got to me because I'm guilty of, well, I'll just make more money.
Yeah, so it's interesting hearing him talk about like, he does very much like, this is what the rich do, this is what the poor do. And, maybe there's something, in the last chapter that I still have yet to finish. Maybe he talks more about like the bridge to getting there. But that's where some of it started getting frustrating for me, because he starts talking about how like the rich create money. And I get it. I understand the context and the concepts of what he was talking about when it comes to like buying an asset that's going to create money and then you live off of that. I hear people online. I mean, I don't think that I know anyone personally that's ever told me about that experience that they're living. But I think that was some of the things that was really like frustrating me. Because it's like, yeah, I get it. But I do feel like I need to make more money in order to get out of where I am right now. Because, and I don't think he talks a lot about like saving and that sort of thing. Spending wisely, he does talk about. But I'm glad that I didn't come across all of, any of the advice that was like, stop buying the latte kind of shit. Because I'm like, I'm going to enjoy my coffee.
Yeah, like that whole assets and liabilities, he talks for like chapters.
Yeah.
Chapters on assets and liabilities. And I was like, and I felt like I was being called out. I really felt like I was being called out in here, because I was like, oh my God, I have a ton of liabilities.
Yeah.
And little to no assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, probably a really common thing, but that's why there's so many more rich people than there are not rich people.
Right.
So I feel like I'm on a good path. Like at least I'm going in that direction, maybe. But yeah, it's a lot of learning. I feel good knowing that I am continuously learning things that will help me in my business and help me be an expert of where I am. But there's just so much. It's so much.
Okay, so when he was talking about this assets and liability stuff, and I want to get your opinion on this, and you tell me what you think. It made me think about, okay, I don't have a lot of assets. Like I have a house, and he says that a house is an asset, but it could also be a liability. Because if you have this big, huge, extravagant house and you're only living in a part of it and you have all these extra rooms and blah, blah, blah for, just for show, that's a liability.
Yeah.
But if you have a nice, big, like good house that's you love and it's suitable for you and you're living in the whole space, then that's an asset. But it becomes a liability when it's too big that you're not using it, that you're wasting. It's a waste. But so I was thinking about my son. My son wants to he wants to move out and move into an apartment. And then so we're looking online for apartments, like 2-bedroom for him and his friend to live in that are going to go to school. And the rent on all of these apartments right now is about $1,500. And I'm like, oh, frick, that's a lot of money. And then when I started reading this book, I started thinking, I could probably just buy a 2-bedroom, like a 2-bedroom apartment, because what it would cost me is the down payment on a 2-bedroom apartment. Mm-hmm. And then I was looking online and they're around 185,000, 200,000 for a 2-bedroom condo or an apartment. And I was thinking, okay, like if that would cost me the down payment and him and his friend would pay the rent.
Or AKA the mortgage.
Yeah, that they would pay rent and they'd also pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
And that would now become an asset for me.
Right.
And that money wouldn't be going into somebody else's, like,
right.
And that's how, when he talks about make money work for you, that's a way that I could make money work for me instead of making it work for somebody else.
I think that if anyone is watching or if they heard this and they understand real estate, then they would say yes. But I don't think you should take financial advice from me.
See, I don't know. And like, that's what this started making me think of, is like, maybe I should think of those types of things.
I think you should look into it for sure.
Because and he also talks about being able to leave something for your children, leaving something. And then I was thinking, okay, because that could also, in the long run, if I wanted to leave something for my kids, that could also be something that I could leave in his name, one day.
Yeah.
To do it for all my kids.
He was part of the investment. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the way that this book is taking me into thinking. And then it also would make me feel a little bit better in knowing that when I make money, it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah. And also when you're spending money, like when you're making that transaction to purchase a property and there's so much involved in it, like that would feel good, as opposed to knowing that your son's out there paying, rent and where's it going, right? To the ether.
Yeah, it's to some slumlord who's
getting
possible. Rich. And I could be the slumlord. I could be the slumlord who's getting rich. Okay, something that you said is selling. So let's talk about the selling. Because in chapter 6, he tells a story about this woman who's like really, really educated. She wrote this great book, but nobody's reading it.
Yeah, she's an author.
Yeah. And then so he is like, well, I wrote this great book and millions upon millions of people have read this book. Yeah. But I'm not the best author.
Right.
I'm the best seller.
Yeah. So he said that's the difference. The difference in their titles is she's the best author, or the best writing author, or something like that. And he said he's the best selling author. He's like, which one do you want? Like,
yeah. And the best, that was good. Labeled the best writer or the best seller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God. And then it just reiterated that whole thing that I've been trying to knock out of my brain, is that I can't sell. And, he was talking about that you have to invest in yourself. And one of the things that you should invest in is learning how to sell, if anything. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. It's just something that's just reoccurring.
Yeah.
Is like, you can be the best at something, but if nobody knows that it's out there, how is anybody supposed to get their hands on it?
Exactly.
And it just screamed at me, because there are so many times where people have said, show up online, and I don't. Or I've created, I've paid people to create posters or create things to sell my stuff, and I've never sent them up. It's like, I can do the creative stuff. I could do the thing. I could put everything together.
But when it comes to selling it, there's like a barrier.
Yeah, there's a barrier for me. And I want to tell myself, that's just a myth. You can actually do this. But I do need some skill level. Like I need, it's not just it's a mastery, and it's not just going to pop out of thin air.
Yeah, and it definitely takes practice. Yeah.
So chapter 2 also made me think, because he says, if I stopped working today, how long could I survive?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you were to ask yourself that right now, if you just stopped working today, how long could you survive? And then, so I'm thinking, like, holy F, I'd be.
You're always talking about how much money you spend.
Yes. So I would be like 2 months, like right now.
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah, it's always different. I know, because I think me too right now. It's like, yeah, I could go a month.
Yeah. And then, or if I start selling my shit, then I could last a bit longer. And that's what he talks about.
Yeah.
So people will start selling their assets.
Yeah.
So that's what he's trying to get at, is when he says, make money work for you.
Yeah.
Is ask yourself that question first. If I were to stop working today, how long can I survive?
Right.
And if you can't, you know.
And most people, including myself, is like, well, it's not me paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it is, but I don't even get that like bi-weekly or monthly the way other people do. So yeah, that's a common one, I think, too.
Yeah. So when he says make your money work for you, I was struggling with that because I was like, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? And basically what he's talking about is, you know, less liabilities, more assets. So things that are tangible. So, like say if you make $1,000, you take 100 of that and put it into an investment, or you take 100 of that and put it into a savings for a down payment on a house. Or like every time you get these big chunks of money,
Mm-hmm.
you get it into your head that part of that money
Mm-hmm.
is going into some type of investment.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to start thinking about that. Like, and buying into a business, or make your business work for you. And he says like, make sure that your business can run even though you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, or, you know, investing in, he does like startup businesses and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a real business if it can't run on its own.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about that before too. Yeah.
So that's what it started making me think of, because I don't do that consistently, where the money that I make, I don't reinvest a lot of that money into assets
Mm-hmm.
or investments and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Every now and then I'll do like I'll do something, but I don't do anything consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
You know what I wrote down? He said something like, how come we're so comfortable tipping 15 to 18% for service, even if it's shitty service, but we're not comfortable paying extra for, you know, valid services, or paying people that are specialized, you know, like today when I was getting pissed off about having to pay $80 for
The poster.
for a poster. But I can go pay $80 to, you know, for a meal.
Get your nails done, or
for my meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a third of that is my fucking tip sometimes. But I can't, but I'm pissed off about putting this $80 towards this poster.
Yeah.
That's strange.
An interesting one. I think when it comes to food though, like we gotta eat.
Girls gotta eat.
You gotta eat. And I mean, I guess eating out is a luxury. I know it is a luxury. And I guess it's just part of like the system that we've agreed to participate in.
It's the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the instant gratification from my meal.
Right.
But I don't get that instant gratification from this poster, even though I know that poster is going to go all over, and, you know,
all over the internet with your name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you send it out, that is.
Yeah. If it ever leaves.
Yeah.
So chapter 8 is 10 steps. So he gives you 10 steps that you can use to awaken your financial genius. Number 1 is find a reason greater than reality, and that is the power of spirit. So I think what that meant for me is focusing on your passions, you know, because you're not going to really get ahead working for somebody else, making somebody else, you know, somebody else's dream come true.
Yeah.
You're going to get ahead by throwing all of your energy and passion into your dream.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time, a friend of mine, she's like, "Oh, let's start a business. Let's make candles."
Yeah.
And then, even though that was like, that would be fun.
Yeah.
It's not my passion.
Right.
So I couldn't see myself throwing myself into all of that work.
Because it quickly becomes just a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that I was passionate about. So then I thought about, the work that I do, I'm very passionate about, and it takes a lot of work, but it doesn't feel like work. Just
right.
Like,
it's
just
something
like
that you could do every day, all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So find a reason greater than reality. So basically, don't just work because you need to pay your rent and put food on the table. Make sure that the work that you do is serving your passion, serving your spirit.
Yeah, and the number one thing that like jobs are designed for, and when I talk about like the system and structures, like they're designed to get you in the rat race and prevent you from following your dream and following your passions, right? That's why fear is so common, and people will most people will just stick in the job. They'll just stay in the job because
stay there and complain.
Stay there and complain, yeah.
Yeah, I stayed for a really long time, and I wanted to be doing, my passion, like my soul work. Number 2 is make daily choices. The power of choice.
Yeah, I love this one too. And I mean, we already talked about like decision making, and like when you're working for someone, like you don't really have a choice. Like you don't have a choice on the projects that you're going to work on, how you're going to work on it, when you're going to work on it, and that sort of thing. And I think that that's really important when it comes to like number 1 being do something that you're passionate about. Number 2 is like daily choices, or how are you going to do it and what are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all taken away if you're not working on your own, pursuing your own dreams.
Yeah, for sure. And then he says, listen and learn, like listen. And he says something about you have 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
And then number 3, he said, choose friends carefully, the power of association.
All right. So this is something that he talked about often that I found was also frustrating for me, is he talked about how he and his friend Mike went and sat in lawyers meetings and I can't remember, accountant meetings, and like they had such a privilege that they were able to, from when they were young, get exposed to like just, this big wide world other than what they're taught. And I know that we have that now kind of with regards to like the internet and books and that kind of stuff. But there's something different about learning it firsthand, and especially growing up with it. So, and I think like choose your friends carefully, the power of association is, make sure that you have friends that you can have these like really strong conversations with, and not people who are complaining all the time. Like there are friends that I've had for years where me as an entrepreneur and like a single woman, the people that I was hanging around with were married and stay-at-home wives. And it's just like you can't have the same conversations with those people, right?
But I think, it's also about putting yourself in around people that you can learn from.
Yeah.
Like, say, for example, when you get invited to a chamber lunch, you have the option to go or not to go.
Yeah. And I did have, like, that was something that I had to go out and do. And I think that's something, like, ultimately that's, what the message is about is, like, you can stay in places where you're not having those conversations
and you're comfortable,
but you need to put yourself in situations that will allow those conversations and be exposed to different things.
Stimulate you. Number 4, master a formula and then learn a new one. The power of learning quickly. I think that is also, a lot of the healing work that we do, a lot of the self work, learning new skills and
Yeah, one of the things that he says here is if you're not making enough, you need to change the formula. So, for example, how that kind of worked for me in my business, especially most recently, is how I was selling workshop by workshop. And like it was taking so much work to host a workshop and then sell tickets and do the same thing on repeat every month. And I had to recognize, and it took me a long time to recognize, okay, this isn't working. I have to stop doing this. And started spending more time on my actual like materials and the foundations that I kept telling myself, like, oh, I'll get to it when I have time, or, when I have all the money coming in and I'm able to do it. But I realized I had to stop selling those one-off workshops and start building the foundation. And it's already like strengthened my offering like by 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been incredible. So that's good.
Okay, this one I'm really, really bad at. Number 5, pay yourself first.
So what does he mean by that?
It's like when your business makes money, give yourself a paycheck. And instead of giving everything back to the business.
So what do you mean you're really bad at that?
I don't pay myself. Like I'll give you an example with my driving while Indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
I do all of the work. I take not all of the work, but I do, most of the work. I take everything falls on me, all the financial liabilities, responsibilities, everything. And all the stress, I put up all the money,
Mm-hmm.
and then I execute this event, and I'm the only one that doesn't get paid, except for my volunteers.
Right.
So I don't pay myself
Mm-hmm.
for the work that I do. And so it's just making me think about that. And then because he talks about like the return on investment. So for the longest time, I've been trying to justify it, be like the return on investment is it's not financial, but it's helping me in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
But how long am I going to do that? Dig myself into a financial hole, like before I stop doing that and start paying myself. So at least I don't go in the hole in order to do this type of work.
Mm-hmm.
That it's really, really starting to make me think about that. Because I always said, oh, the return on investment is, I get to help people. I get to change lives and it's so much fun. But I mean, it is coming at a cost.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, that's definitely like something that I want to get ahead of as well.
Number 6, pay your brokers well. The power of good advice.
I think that's something that I've always tried to maintain, and I think I'm getting better at it, is like paying people that can do the right job for me.
For their expert services.
Yeah.
And he talks about for making sure that you hire really, really good people, like experts. Yeah. Not hiring people that like don't your cousins. Yes, like hiring people that don't know as much as you.
Right, yeah.
In a certain area. You need to hire people that are experts in that area, mm-hmm. not just because they're your friend or your cousin and
mm-hmm.
They need a few bucks in their pocket.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when, like, from what I've seen in working with entrepreneurs is we want to help the people around us get ahead, and so we sort of do it out of a favor, and that like very seldom works mm-hmm. because if you're hiring someone just as a favor, you're not going to get the best work that you're looking for. So you do really have to be careful. And sometimes it feels like, well, if I hire a bookkeeper, if I hire, whatever, an artist or someone to, really do the good work, I can't afford it. And I think you don't have to do that all the time, but when it matters and when it comes to turning your business into an asset, it's something that people really need to, like, it's something that I learned. Like you really have to pay attention to those things.
Number 7, be an Indian giver.
Did you love that?
I know. I was like, okay.
I was like, okay, Mr. Kiyosaki, what are you going to say for yourself?
So he says the term Indian giver arose out of a cultural misunderstanding when the first European settlers came to the New World. So if a settler was cold, an Indian would give the person a blanket. Then the settler mistook it for a gift and then was offended when he asked for it back.
Is that where that comes from, I wonder?
I guess.
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah. You know what? It's okay. I just have to say this is so many books over the years that I've read, and it's always at the end of the book is like you're reading and you're like, oh, this is interesting. This is good. I like this, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, they say something racist.
Mm-hmm.
So many times. Fucking racist. I don't know, but I think after 25 years, he should have known that that's not something that you say.
Or somebody should have known, the book editors. Take that out.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, he's the book producer, richdad.com.
Number 8, use assets to buy luxuries, the power of focus.
I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
It's basically like you use the money that's being made from your assets to then buy your fancy cars and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a great example. I love it.
Because he doesn't say, like, don't go out and buy, like, I don't think his wife or something drove a Mercedes.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, like, don't go out and buy those things, but make sure that the money's being made from, your assets.
And that's what she did. So I think she bought a property or something like that. And with the profit that was coming back, that's what she used. So she basically was getting a free car is what it almost feels like, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the concept, but I'm not there.
Number 9, choose heroes, the power of myth.
So this one's interesting. So one of the most powerful ways we learn as children is pretending to be our heroes. I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about there, but I will say, I don't know that he's talking about mentors. I think that might be the next one. I think he's talking about like behaving like heroes. By having heroes, we tap into their genius. So it's kind of like looking at like, what do others do? So I've used this example in like confidence training before is if you look at a celebrity, if you think about like a musician on stage, a female that's like super powerful on stage, who comes to mind?
Dolly Parton.
That's not who I would have thought of, but okay.
I love her confidence.
I don't think I've watched her enough, but I'll have to check it out.
It's not even about her on stage. It's about her in interviews.
Okay. So you think about her personality, like her persona and how she comes across, how she holds herself, all of those things. And you imagine yourself all of a sudden, okay, I want you to pretend to be Dolly Parton. I want you to behave how she does, right? So to me, that's what I think this lesson is about, because it's like, you're going to sit up straight. You're going to smile. You're going to make eye contact with everybody. Like, I know she's very like high energy and cheery. Anyway, that's what came up for me.
Yeah. That's sort of what comes to my mind too, is that it's like he gives a couple of different people, like Warren Buffett and so, but it's like you pick your role models, like role models, but what you're doing is you're just taking the best pieces from each of those people. Yeah. So like with Dolly Parton, her, what I would take from her is her courage to just be herself. Mm. She says whatever she wants and she's unapologetic. She doesn't care if people call her trashy. She's like, well, that's how I want to look. And, I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. And she just like basically is like I don't give a F attitude all the time. Right.
That's like Dolly Parton is definitely unapologetic. Like that's when people say that word, like that's what they're talking about.
And then it's just like she is my unapologetic girl. And then my other one would be like Oprah Winfrey. What would I take from her? Mm-hmm. And, her ability to just say everything that she wants to say. Like she's very articulate. She knows how to get the words out that she wants to use. So it's just like you're taking pieces from each person. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be exactly like just one person. You have a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Number 10, teach and you shall receive, the power of giving.
That's a good one. I definitely believe in teaching and giving and sharing.
Mm-hmm. And this was also in our last book too. Is when you're working in service to others,
Mm-hmm.
like that's that energy flow.
Yeah.
And and what you're also doing for yourself is when you teach somebody something, when you're giving your skills, you're also strengthening muscle your
Mm-hmm.
own muscle.
Yeah.
And I think about that when I do my Awaken the Spirit workshops, is I teach so many valuable lessons to people, and at the same time I'm strengthening my own muscle
Mm-hmm.
in gratitude, appreciation, um, all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that in like many books, and I can't think of like where I heard it the clearest, but the more that you teach others about wealth, the more that you can increase in wealth. I remember reading that in a book. I don't know if that's Think and Grow Rich or who that was.
Yes, and also the power of giving. We also have to remember that it's not just all about us. Me. What can I get? What can I do? How can I grow? How can I? We also have to remember that we have to be able to give and have that balance and be able to give back. So, I could see why this book was so important. Oh, before we put it down, I just need to talk about this one last thing. There's like a circle, and the outside is body, so there's like a circle with four rings.
Mm-hmm.
The outside is body, and then mind, and then emotion, and then spirit. And then I was like, that's just like our medicine wheel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminded me of, just like our medicine wheel.
Yeah, that is interesting, but our medicine wheel is divided in four, so that is really interesting.
Yeah. But he's Hawaiian, right? So it's not it doesn't surprise me that they have the same concept. It's just like in a different, like ours is in four quadrants, but theirs is in like a rings of four. But it's basically the same concept is like, a balance of body, mind, emotion, spirit. Like we can't just be focused on, making money and doing the systems and working for the government and working for this. We also have to have a balance with how we're feeding our spirit and our mind in the work that we do.
So cool. Yeah, I didn't get to the end, so I still have to finish it, but I'm gonna finish it this weekend. I'm excited about it. Like just to get it over with. And I mean, I have learned things. It's really interesting, and I think I've said this probably about many of the books, is it's definitely something that I'll read again in the future. And I think it was really good to finally get it out of the way. Like I've heard about it for years, but I think I also knew like I got too much shit to deal with. I'm not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that I revisited the book, because it's a good reminder right now that I got to get out of the rat race. I thought that I jumped off the hamster wheel when I started working for myself.
Yeah.
But I realized that there's still so many things I need to learn about making money work for me, and not chasing that dollar so that I could not live in a panic.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in survival mode, even when I'm trying to get out of that survival mode that so many of us are stuck in.
And I think sometimes, I think I want to share this, like, if Indigenous women are the listeners of this podcast, I think one of the things that I want to share with them is some reflections that I'm very aware of, is that, like, we grew up in a different place, and like with generational, what are some of those words that we've used? Intergenerational trauma. We've also, like, our parents didn't understand wealth and ownership, investments, like these, like we're the generation that are learning about these for the first time.
Yeah, new concepts.
And a lot of us are going through like our own healing and just trying to maintain. And that's like, we need to find safety in that first to make these things sustainable. So everyone's going to be at different like levels of the path. Some people, you know, some Indigenous women are already going to be doing well, and others are not even going to be able to like listen to the podcast because it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Even men, Indigenous men as well.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I get it. It's like you really have to take things in stages, right? It's like you can't just take in all of this information because it would be so overwhelming. You know, I learned some of these
especially
concepts.
if it's the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned some of these concepts way back when, and you know, I think I must have just like glossed right over the investment stuff because I probably looked at it and I'm like, well, this isn't for me, and flipped to the back.
You know, it reminded me also that I signed up for an investment course once. It was a 2-day course, and I think it was like $200. And I spent my own money, and I went and I got a booklet and a USB and a whole bunch of stuff. And on the first day, we just went through a whole bunch of like concepts and, you know, the glossary. Basically, this is what this is how to do this. And it was all about like stocks and stuff like that. And I didn't go back the second day because the first day I was like, I don't understand any of this. So that was interesting to go, oh yeah, I forgot I signed up for that thing.
Yeah. And you know, like that's what we do with our books too. It's like we take what we need when we need it, like where we are at the time. You know, it's like our books have to meet us where we're at too.
Yeah.
And then because there have been books like I mentioned before in the podcast where I wasn't ready. Yeah. Like when I first picked up The Power of Now, I tried to get into it and I put it down. I wasn't ready. I picked up A Happy Pocket Full of Money. I tried to get into it and I put it down because I wasn't ready. Like my mind just wasn't there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's valid. That's real.
Awesome. So what's our next book? I'm excited because it's your book.
And is this the one that I've been talking about? If
that's the one that you want to choose,
it is totally.
Okay.
So the book is Reality Transurfing, and it's by Vadim Zealand. And it's a big, thick one. I usually have it here, but I have already taken it home and started reading it because I love it, and because I just felt it calling me. It's also a very deep concept, but back to the spiritual, not so much as the practical, which I think this one was very practical.
Yeah, very practical.
So that's the book, Reality Transurfing. So again, it's like, it's really deep. It's a big, thick one. It's gonna be good.
I'm excited. I started listening to the audiobook maybe about a year ago, and I had to stop because I couldn't do it. It's the type of book that I felt I needed to read. So I ordered my copy. It'll be here on Saturday. So I'm excited to jump into actually reading it.
All right. Join us in Reality Transurfing.